why does someone work? They work because they want to support their. Oh, I got to get in line over there. I'm so sorry, guys. I have to get into the rally. I love INFOWARS. I'm a supporter of Alex Jones. You guys rock. I hope you have a great set of interviews tonight. I represent Bernie. I understand everyone has different opinions.
And that's why we're here, yeah.
Yeah, and so please keep up the good work and please portray this fairly.
Hey, guess what? Feel safe tonight because you know what? Trump supporters aren't going to throw eggs at you.
I hope not. And I hope that you portray this fairly, and I hope that you guys have a safe time as well.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, man.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
All right, well, thank you so much, Joe. Well, the guy had at least arguments for his points of view, and he was a very well-spoken guy.
We figured to bring a little comedy into it as well, though, with that one guy.
Yeah.
The guy's been running around acting crazy, but I mean, a lot of the people we've spoken to tonight have been very knowledgeable in a lot of the things. I can agree with a lot of the things they have to say. So we're not too far, far gone from each other's standpoints. The only thing I can't really get past is the entire socialist or democratic socialism thing and all that. And I don't really understand how the $15 an hour is really going to pan out. It's really we're going to lose jobs, and a lot of these corporations or these businesses are going to have to, go to these automated systems like we're seeing already.
That's right. We need to it's just going to increase the pressure for people to replace workers with robots. You're exactly right. And the only way that they're going to get better paying jobs is if we stop exporting our jobs and importing workers, which means we're going to have to get control of the borders. It's not a racist thing. It is simply an economic thing. It's a national thing, and there is a nationalist aspect to these La Raza Dreamer riots where they protest Trump. But I think on a lot of issues there, I think we can reach some common ground with some of the Bernie supporters. Whether or not they will wind up supporting Trump, it's still a stretch for them. I don't know where they're going to go at this point.
At the end of the day, you can't put 10 people in a two-man canoe. It's going to sink.
That's right. That's right.
Very good analogy.
That's right.
That's what I do here.
We got some results here from California, and this is kind of interesting, Joe. They closed the polls about 26 minutes ago. They've only got 3% reporting in so far. So I don't know if this is going to change a great deal. It's been holding kind of constant. Hillary is way ahead of Bernie in California, and it may be because they told everybody, hey, this is all over. Don't bother to show up. But right now, she's about 2-to-1 over him. It's 62% for Hillary, 37% for Bernie. So this is not what people thought was going to happen, and that crowd there is not going to be very happy if that's a Bernie crowd.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Bernie says when he comes out here. It looks like it was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Now it's not going to start till 10 p.m. tonight. So that information will definitely trickle down to those guys, and I'm sure when they make that announcement inside this hangar, we'll hear people from the outside here kind of yelling and upset about that. But, this is the whole thing, though. We saw that with Rand Paul. Rand Paul didn't really put up a fight. He dropped out too early. He didn't put up a fight, and that's one of the things I wish he would have done. And one of the things Bernie Sanders hasn't really been doing that well is putting up a fight against Hillary Clinton. We need that from him more, because the last thing we need is another Clinton in the White House. And she's going to come in here. She is the worst person for the job. I mean, she is the most elite of elite people, and she has nothing but the best interest of her pockets in mind at all.
Joe, in the debate when he said, he says, I am tired of hearing about your damn emails. He was done at that point. He was absolutely done. He could have taken the high ground, but he basically threw that issue, that corruption issue, that character issue, which is a key thing for people that support him. He basically threw that away for a lot of other people when he pulled that out. And so I think that really hurt him at that point. But it's going to be very difficult for him to move forward now, because tonight we're looking at him losing everywhere. Except for North Dakota. There he won big. He won 64-26. Everywhere else, Hillary is either slightly ahead or way ahead. And the coup de grace is California, where right now with 7% reporting, it is still holding constant at 63-37.
And then also the superdelegates don't even get their vote until July 26th, I believe, if I'm correct.
Well, a lot of the superdelegates have declared, and that's why we see that they've got on the delegate results, they show superdelegates 571 for Hillary, 48 for Bernie. As a matter of fact, they totaled up her superdelegates even before they started doing any voting. She was already there with 15% of the votes that she needed to get the nomination before the first vote was cast by the public. So they're still showing that. But I'm talking about the pledged delegates. I think his only chance of really kind of making a case to stay in this was for him to say, hey, I've got a plurality of the people who voted in the elections, and the superdelegates are going against the will of the people who voted in the elections. And so he could have made the case to superdelegates follow what the public has done. But he's losing in the the votes of the, at least, you know, I'm sure they're rigging this election as we joked about earlier, but according to the official results, he's behind in that. So it's going to be hard for him to make the case that the superdelegates should reverse the will of the people. Now he's in exactly the opposite position.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and one of the things that's appealing about Donald Trump that people like is the fact that he's a fighter. He gets up there, he speaks his mind. You know, when someone says something, he comes out there and hits them back hard. And people in America kind of feel like Obama's just laid down and rolled over. And I think that's one of the appealing things is that he is out there fighting. And one of the things you're not seeing from Bernie as much is that fighting mentality to get out there and really call Hillary Clinton out on a lot of these important issues, the things that she's been involved in. That would help him out a lot. That would have helped him out a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons you have a poor turnout so far.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Joe. And I know that rally is going to be starting at some point. I guess Bernie's trying to decide how he's going to spend this because it's not looking good for him in California. We've got Leanne McAdoo waiting to come online. Thank you so much, Joe Biggs, California. We're going to go to Leanne McAdoo, also in California. Leanne.
Hi, David. Well, we're out here at one of the wrap parties for the Hillary Clinton for president. We actually spoke to two women. They were the lesbian couple who were able to get marriage equality. They were the first to sue, I guess. They were the ones named there on that bill many years ago. And so they were very outspoken, admittedly Democratic socialists voting for Clinton and not for Bernie Sanders. And so we've actually uploaded a video there. It talks about Democratic socialism and why they're voting for Hillary Clinton. And David, we've looked into this before, you and I. If you go to the Socialists of America Party or the Democratic Socialists of America, it says there on their website how they support the people who are going to get the most progressive agenda passed. And of course, once they get it passed, that's the only reason why they've attached themselves to the Democratic Party, is because they need those people who are going to get it pushed as far to the left as possible. And so Bernie Sanders, he didn't really come into this wanting to become the president. He never thought he was going to become the president, but that was his agenda, was to force Hillary Clinton to move even further to the left, which is exactly what has happened. And now when you have two very prominent activists in the gay community saying that they're backing Hillary Clinton for that very reason.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this video, when you see the passion in this woman's face of what she's talking about, that in the next 4 years, this democratic socialism is going to be running this country, you watch, and that Hillary Clinton was the candidate who could get this passed. And I mean, it was frightening. And so that's why because I asked her, you know, how do you explain to all the young Bernie supporters out there who aren't going to want to go to Hillary? They say they will even go vote for Trump rather than a Hillary president. How do you get them on your side? And that's where she was going, was that this is the plan. It's 4 years of this, and then you're going to get everything Bernie's promising you in those, because they're going to push it as far to the left as possible. I mean, it's frightening.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's not only a tool of Wall Street, and as Donald Trump said, she and Hillary.
That's accurate.
I've been calling them that for a long time. The Hillary presidency. They were essentially running a corrupt hedge fund. You know, their political careers have been that with graft and corruption. It doesn't surprise me that Hillary would get the lesbian vote. That's kind of a given. But she has talked for a long time about being a progressive, and she does have a very radical progressive agenda that's there, but she's also a crony capitalist with deep ties to Wall Street. And she's tried to pull away from both of those things. And I think that Bernie staying in and going to the contested convention is going to bring that to the forefront. And it's going to make it harder for her in the general election. I think she would like to downplay that. I think she would like to keep that agenda hidden. But I think he is going to force that agenda out in the open. Let's say he's going to out her as a progressive socialist.
Yeah, well, it seems as if he should have been doing that this entire time, but he didn't want to alienate himself from the party, from everyone, or knowing that he wasn't going to win. Eventually, he might potentially be her VP at some point. He didn't want to call her out and put all of her dirty deeds out there. So we'll see how far he takes it, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he says tonight at his rally.
Well, you know, she is a crony capitalist, and so on a lot of these issues, she is really about economic fascism when it comes to giving favors to the corporations that favor her. But on other issues, like gun control, she is far more radical than even Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders did not want to come after gun companies if they hadn't done anything that would be a criminal liability. But she wants to. She has hectored him throughout this entire campaign, saying, "Look at this. He doesn't want to shut down gun manufacturers."
Yeah, he's not anti-gun enough.
Yeah, exactly. And he kept saying, "Well, wait a minute. If they haven't harmed anybody, there is no liability any more than Ford has a liability if somebody is a drunk driver and murders someone because of the way they operated the car." So he's said that from the very beginning. And of course, there is a congressional law in addition to the Constitution, the Second Amendment, and due process and other things saying that you should not be penalized if you haven't done anything wrong. But that's not good enough for Hillary. She will do anything to take away the gun. So she's far more radical than Bernie is on many of these issues. And I think that's a very dangerous thing. And of course, Donald Trump is going to point that out.
Yeah. Well, and I also think it's incredibly dangerous if you're seeing what we're seeing in California with so many people who are just so excited about Hillary Clinton, and the fact that knowing that she's the one that's going to get through to push that really progressive agenda, and that in 4 years, if she's out, or 8 years, whoever's next, all of these young people here are totally primed to bring in the next Bernie Sanders or someone else. So the Democratic Socialists have been on this long con job, have really kind of sunk their talons in, and have been working on this for a very long time. And we're starting to see the results of that now. It's pretty frightening.
Well, I remember when she was first lady and she tried to nationalize health care, and she didn't want to go to any half measures or gradualism. I mean, it was a full out, we're going straight to single payer, government controlled health care for everybody. Didn't even try to make the pretense of Obamacare, which we all know is a gradual process to that end result. But she went for the whole thing at the very beginning. And that was 25 years ago that she was doing that. She is a hardcore radical progressive, and she is going to do everything she can against her enemies. And that's what I said. This is not only for Donald Trump, but for America. It is a do or die election. She is going to destroy this country. She's going to finish what Obama did. She's going to be far more radical in her agenda than even Obama was, and she's going to push this much faster. I think that if she picks Elizabeth Warren, we need to have the Thelma and Louise icon with the two of them driving car America over the cliff with a pedal to the metal and all the dollar bills flying out of the convertible, because that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really surprising here to see so many people that can just overlook all of her scandals. And we're here, it's just like the Bernie bots or the Clinton computers, they're all just like, she's going to unite the country. Everything's going to be great. There's going to be no racism, because it's just all about the collective now. No more for the individual, no free thinkers.
That's right.
Everyone's got their talking points, and it'll be really interesting to see what this country looks like in a few years if we can't turn it around. She's
going to unite the country into one collective Borg, and we will all be assimilated. Thank you so much, Leanne McAdoo from California. And we have a special report from Tim Kennedy that we wanted to run for you that we didn't get a chance to air completely today earlier on the radio. Let's go to that report right now.
The politicians of today, they suck. When you look at the founding fathers, the people that cultivated this country, that created us from a revolution, right? We were being controlled, tormented, imprisoned, near slaves to the government, the British government at the time. And these people said, we're done. We're over it. We're gonna throw some tea off a ship. And then a single shot is gonna ring out, and it's gonna change the course of this beautiful land forever. The people that wrote the Declaration of Independence and then the Constitution, they were people that understood what real work meant. They understood what hard work was. They weren't lifetime politicians that had never had a real job in their entire life. They didn't have a foundation that was worth billions. They weren't, a Secretary of State that were given hundreds of millions of dollars by foreign governments for the things that they did. They were doctors. They were lawyers. They were farmers. They were ranchers. They were engineers. They were inventors. They were people that had hands that bled. They had minds that never stopped working. They went to bed exhausted every day, not in the luxury golden parachute that the politicians live under today. They worked from sunup way past sundown The sun went down. They couldn't work in their field anymore or in their shop anymore. They're now,